Hello Transport Evolved people, it's Nikki Gordon Bloomfield here from Transport Evolved. It's Monday, and after a morning which involved snow, rain, cold, dark, the sun's come out. It's really nice. So today I thought I'd give you some tips about owning and living with a limited range electric car, because there are so many good used electric cars now on the market that are available for stupidly low prices. You'd have to be kind of crazy not to give them a go. So I thought it would be good to give you a pointer as to how you can maximise life with a car that only does 70, 60 miles per charge. And of course, the first thing that you need to acknowledge is that not everybody can live with a car that can only do 60 or 70 miles per charge. But the majority of people can. If you look at your daily commute to and from work and then all the errands you have to do, I'd be really surprised if more than about 10% of the people watching this regularly drove more than 70 miles in a day, unless they had a job that required them to drive, or they happen to live a long way from work, in which case they probably either live a long way from work because they've chosen to do so, or because, you know, living close to work is too expensive, or they just really like living somewhere and get paid enough, or they just get paid a lot of money and they can probably afford a longer range electric car anyway. Most people I know are not happy driving more than about 50 miles a day to and from work. So unless you're one of those rare people, I think you should be fine. Right, I'm going to get some coffee. I'll be right back. Right, so where was I? Yes. Range. And if you're holding out for something like a Tesla Model 3, or maybe for the Chevrolet Bolt EV in a year when it's more easily available, or later this year when it's more easily available, or you're waiting for the longer range Nissan Leaf, actually buying a used EV with a limited range battery pack, and I'm talking about a car that does less than 100 miles per charge, you can live with it as long as you follow some simple tips. Now, the first thing I'd say is know your local area, know where the charging stations are, because if you live in an urban area, the chances are there's charging stations near you. If you live in suburbia, the chances are there are even more charging stations near you. I live about 10 miles west of Portland, Oregon, and there are plenty of electric car charging stations in the vicinity that I can use. I'm going to be driving past one in a few minutes, and I'm not very far from my home. But also know where the DC rapid charging stations are, because they're going to be your real help to extend your electric car's range and to make it feel that you can travel further than the range of your car without getting into too much hassle. Now, me saying that tells you that I think if you're going to buy a limited range electric car, you should probably buy one with DC quick charging as standard. Or if you're in Europe, AC quick charging, if you're buying something like the Smart for 2 ED with the optional 22 kilowatt onboard charger, or the Renault Zoe with the 43 kilowatt onboard charger. And that makes owning a limited range electric car so much easier. Yes, I know that Renault now has the 41 kilowatt hour Renault Zoe option available, but you could probably do okay with the previous generation Zoe, with the previous generation pack, if all you're going to use that car for is getting to and from work and the occasional errand. I'm not going to lie to you, I would like a car with 200 miles of range. Right now I can't afford that, and having driven the Bolt EV, I would love to have a Chevrolet Bolt EV. But the reality is that 90% of the time, my trips don't need extending by charging when I'm out and about. Now, at the weekends, it's slightly different, because at the weekends I do tend to travel beyond the range of my car, either because I'm going to an event the other side of town, or because I've just got more people in the car and traffic's moving a little bit faster and I'm maybe not driving quite as efficiently as I am during the week. Either way though, I don't normally get stuck Either way though, I don't think I've ever got stuck for a charge. Either way though, I've never actually run out of charge and been stuck. And the only time I've run out of charge in the last 6 years has been during a snowstorm when I was coming up to a rapid charge station and my car turtled and then it ran out of power literally feet from the charging station. So I was able to coast in and everything was fine. So if the first step is knowing where your local charging stations are, what's the second step? The second step is to know your own driving style and know your vehicle's capabilities. And that means going out and trying your electric car on a route you know well to see how many miles per kilowatt hour you manage to achieve. Or if you're feeling really brave, how far you can drive it before the car gets to its low battery warning. In order to do that, however, you should pick a route that enables you to be close to home or close to a charging station, just in case you get caught short. I think I'm going to park by the carts here. I've got to nip inside and do a quick bit of shopping, so I will be right back. So I've done all my shopping. Well, I've done some of my shopping. Didn't get done at the weekend, which is why I'm doing it now. And we've gone over 3 of the things so far that you need to be prepared for if you are buying a used or limited range electric car. Now, the 4th thing is ABC, always be charging. Now, not all of you are going to need a car that can quick charge back to full or near full. Some of you genuinely only need a car that does 50 miles per charge and can be a second car for the family. And if that's the case, then you probably just need to ABC, always be charging. When you're not driving the car, plug in somewhere and charge it. If this car is just your errand car, then you will be surprised how far you can actually go in a day just by plugging the car in when you get home and charging it up. Even if it's not the evening, just plugging it in and charging it up. This car today has been driven for about 40 miles, and then I took it back home, and then I plugged it in and charged it, and it's got a full battery pack by the time I need to do my next errand. Now, you do have to be aware that there needs to be a couple of hours in between errands. Admittedly, when I did pull in this morning, I did have half a charge left, so I didn't necessarily have to plug in and charge. However, I chose to, so that if there was an emergency or something else, I was always ready to charge, which is why I say number 4 should be ABC. Always be charging. Number 5 is be prepared to add extra time to get your car to a charging station if you're running errands and trips. So for example, if you're going downtown to watch a movie and the parking lot for the movie theatre doesn't have a charging station, but one a couple of blocks away does, go to the parking lot a couple of blocks away, park, plug in, charge, and when you come out of the movie, your car's all charged. Now, of course, that's only necessary if you know that you're going to need to drive that car later on in the day. If you genuinely know that you're only going to go to the movie theatre and back and you can make it home and you don't need to go anywhere else, then you don't have to worry about charging. And this tip really is only if you are like me and a used limited range electric car is your only or main car. My secondary car is also an EV. It's a Toyota RAV4 EV, a 2002 model, and it can only travel 40 miles away from home because I have to be able to make it back home in order to charge it up at home, because it's got a weird charging station that is no longer a nationally accepted charging standard. It's kind of a legacy charging standard. So you have to be prepared if your car is like that. But to be honest, you can buy a used Nissan Leaf like this, or like the one that's literally just there that you can't see, for anything from $5,000 to $7,000. Well, £5,000 to £7,000. In fact, if you're interested, my Nissan Leaf in the UK was sold in 2015 before I moved to the States. It was 4 years old, and I sold it for £5,000 because it had 80,000 miles on the clock. Still was getting a useful 50 miles or so per charge. And for the person who purchased it, it was an ideal first electric car. It got them into electric cars. It enabled them to get behind the wheel of an EV without spending huge amounts of money, which is why I'm making this post in the first place. The number of people who say to me, oh, I would love an EV, but I can't afford one. You can. You just need to be prepared to own a shorter range EV, gently loved EV. And believe me, if you own one and you plan ahead and you just take these simple tips that I've given you, you'll find that life's actually really fun with an EV, and you'll never want to drive a petrol car ever, ever, ever again. Now, there is one final thing that I need to mention here, and it's the person who says, yes, but I need to visit Granny in Scotland once every 2 months, and it's 700 miles away, and how do I do that? Or the person who says, yes, but I need to travel to Wisconsin to see my brother-in-law once a year. Honestly, if you're in the United States and you are talking about making a long distance road trip, you are not going to be able to do that in an EV anyway. If you live on the West Coast or the East Coast, the chances are you could if you really wanted to, but it's going to take you a long time. But here's the thing, the money that you save by not buying gasoline or petrol or diesel is going to help you save up pennies to hire a car from someone like Enterprise or Truro or wherever else you want to hire your car from. There are plenty of different options. You can hire a nice, comfortable, fuel-efficient car, or you can hire a big, stinking SUV if you really want to, or a pickup truck. You know, you can just hire the car that fits your needs with the money that you've saved by owning an EV and being a little careful about your route planning and thinking a bit farther ahead when you're planning this kind of stuff. It's not difficult, it's not complicated, it's not hard. There have genuinely been a handful of times in the last 6 months when I've gone, yeah, I would really like a longer range car. One of them actually was Saturday when I was off somewhere with my daughter, but we stopped at a rapid charging station. We had other options should that rapid charging station be broken. We had other options. It wasn't. It was working. We got the car charged, and in the 10-15 minutes that we were there, because that's all we needed to extend our range enough to come back home, we were able to talk. I streamed a bit of video. She was playing on her phone. We had a lovely time. It wasn't an issue because I've kind of got my kids used to stopping and charging the car. So that's, I suppose, where I'm at with long-range electric cars. I've been driving, short-range electric cars. I've been driving EVs now for 11, 12 years, and I suppose I've got used to it. My first EV only travelled 30 miles per charge. So for me to now be able to travel 70 or 80 miles per charge feels like a longer way. I'm sure in 10 years' time, I'll look back on this and laugh at how shorter distance my 2013 Nissan Leaf actually did per charge. But the reality is, majority of trips, I don't flatten the battery pack. I get back home, I charge. If I know I'm going to be needing a charge later on the day, I plug in and charge. I know my area, I know my routes, I know how to drive the car to be efficient. I know how to drive the car not to be efficient, and those are things that you should try. And I have a partner who is more than willing, when my RAV4 EV is on the road and I need to go further than the RAV can do, to just swap cars with me. And she'll take the RAV and I'll take this one. So that's really all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I hope you're enjoying the lovely sun if you are getting it wherever you are. I know those north of me in Washington State have had snow. Yay, you finally got some. And by the way, that beep was not at me. That was a person going in the other direction. So I don't want anybody telling me that I was getting into trouble and not paying attention to the traffic. Don't forget you can also support us at Patreon. There's a link at the end of this video. I'll try and be back tomorrow with some more tips and tricks and thoughts about electric car ownership, cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transportation. Until then, my name is Nikki Gordon Bloomfield. Have a great rest of the day and keep evolving.